So how are we scaling up to $200,000 a month with almost no setup fees in our agency? By the way, my name is Ashton. I'm the founder of Active Solutions. We're a CRM customization service. We have roughly a little over 200 clients in our book of business right now. And what I want to break down is the three main things that have gotten us to where we are in the last 3 years. So I founded my first company, Gym Closers, about 3 years ago, and it started off as a marketing agency. We kind of just moved and pivoted with the market as things continued to change. And we've learned so much in that last 3 years. It almost feels like it's been 20. And I just kind of want to go over the main things that I've learned specifically. It's not going to work for everyone because my business model isn't for everybody. It was a slow build, but now we're finally reaping all of the benefits from doing it the way that we did it for so long. So we're coming up on $200,000 a month, and I just kind of want to show you exactly how we've been able to do that. So thing number one, which is going to sound a little bit weird, charging less and focusing on the mission. So whenever we pivoted out of, and I'll tell you a little story. So first agency was Gym Closers, marketing agency for gyms. I was a personal trainer. I ran an Anytime Fitness beforehand. It was just like one of the niches that made the most sense at the time. And we started off high ticket. We were charging between $1,500 and $5,000 for like 3 months of service. And then we were, signing up gyms. People would churn very quickly. It was your natural marketing agency process. And then I thought in my mind, I'm like, there's this thing I call the value equation. So the value that you're providing to somebody and the value that the customer actually perceives that they're getting from your product. And here's an example. You walk into Starbucks, you buy a coffee. If the coffee sucks, you're like, why did I just pay $5 for that? If the coffee is pretty good, you're like, that's worth $5. If the coffee is the best coffee you've ever had in your life, you're like, I would have paid more. So think of that in terms of regardless of what your service is, that's what happens subconsciously in the buyer's mind whenever they're going through your service. So I'm like, if people are churning so quickly, it's because the perception that they're getting in the service is lower than what we're pricing it at. And it makes people want to leave because it's not worth it. Regardless of what you say or what you think, or we're better than everybody, or we're doing this, they don't understand how it works. You're doing something wrong if consistently people are churning on the back end. So one of the things that I did was first we pivoted almost entirely from a marketing agency to just building out systems. But I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop charging high ticket and I'm going to do a low ticket recurring revenue model. We were charging like $497 a month. So we start signing up clients, and it's much easier to sign up clients, obviously, because the price is much lower. And it's much easier to explain the value when the price is much lower. People are like, oh, that makes sense. Absolutely. Here's my credit card. Now, the problem is your business grows significantly slower. So when we were charging $4,997 for a 3-month package, we were getting $5,000 as opposed to $500 off every sale. That's not sexy. People don't want to do that. People want to go from 0 to 50 or 0 to $100,000 a month, in the next 6 months or overnight. That's what's sexy because that's what everybody talks about. So what we did was we started building up recurring revenue and offering exceptional value. And as that recurring revenue started to build, and we were nonprofit for the longest time, which is why anytime I talk to mentors, they were like, raise your prices. You need to charge more. Do it like this. Niche your service. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to do that though, because that's not my mission. My mission was I want to make enterprise solutions accessible to small businesses. And if I raise my prices, then the entire mission that I started building everything off of absolutely crumbles and disappears. And there is no mission. And if there is no mission, then what's the purpose in what you're doing? So I stuck with it. And I, month after month of slow build after breaking even or unprofitable months. And finally, we hit this point where we have roughly 80 to 100 clients and our recurring revenue starts to become profitable. We're profiting $10,000, $20,000 just off our recurring revenue. If we were to sign nobody up in 1 month and make no sales, we're starting to reach those profit margins. And this led to us having to figure out how to develop systems and SOPs. That's the good thing about having a mission as well. If we want to stick to this mission and make enterprise solutions accessible to small businesses, and we cannot change the price point, then what do we have to do? Because a lot of times you're going to hit bottlenecks. This is too much work, or we don't have enough profit per head on the back end. Then how can we manage more clients per head on the back end? Our systems aren't tight enough. Our SOPs aren't strong enough. So that's what we started focusing on. And once we got to the point where we started profiting significantly just off of recurring revenue, we saw that what took so long to freaking build over the last 3 years finally worked. And we were able to dump that money back into ads, and it was able to evolve from there. So keep this in mind. You need a mission. You need a purpose to chase, because if you don't, you're just going to change everything all the time. time. If something doesn't work, instead of fixing what's broken, you're gonna think, maybe I should change my business model or change my offer or switch this up. You have to attach yourself to a purpose or a mission so that you have a reason to fight for the changes that you're making within your business. Hopefully that was helpful. Thing number 2, focusing more on lifetime value than you are on how much you're making on the front end. Now, business knowledge is becoming more accessible online, which I think is great. A lot of people know what lifetime value means. If you don't, it's basically the amount of money on average that your client will pay you over the lifetime of them being a customer. And what that basically means is, let's say you have a $500 a month service and your average client stays with you for 10 months, just to make it easy. That means their lifetime value is $5,000. But what a lot of people see is, how much can I make on the front end? And I'll give you an example. If you're running Facebook ads and it costs you $500 to acquire a client, and that person signs up and they pay you $500, in your mind, you're like, I just broke even. I spent $500 and I made $500. But you don't take into account that they stay with you for a period of 10 months. So really, your cost per acquisition, they call it CAC to LTV ratio, your cost per acquisition to lifetime value is you're spending $500 to acquire a client that's going to pay you $5,000 over the lifetime of them being a customer of yours. Now that is worth it. You just don't reap the benefits in the beginning. You start reaping them by doing everything, just sticking to the plan for 12 months. And you're like, wow, I have so many clients paying me on a monthly basis now. People just don't want to stick to it for that long. If you focus on the LTV and the longevity of the business, or the long-term goal, you're going to start seeing your benefits come after month 3, month 4, month 5, depending, and this is a little bit different depending on what your budget is on ad spend, what your cost per acquisition is, how many people you're signing up, etc. But you don't reap the benefits right away. You might even start off breaking even, and you might not even know what your lifetime value is. And that's part of the game. Because if people only stay with you for 1 month, then you did break even. But guess what? It's time to figure out why people aren't staying. It's time to develop a system that is sticky so people stay for longer. Provide more value for the same price point that you're providing. And then that will extend the LTV. And then your cost per acquisition, or CAC to LTV ratio, will start to increase over time. And then you build a more sustainable business. Hopefully that makes sense as well. Lastly, thing number 3, play the long game. I want you to always think about scale. Now, I'm a mentor in the School of Hard Knocks community. And one of the things that I tell probably almost every group call that we have, I tell them, if you're about to make a change in your business, something goes wrong, you're about to make a change for whatever reason, or maybe you're patching a hole, whatever. I want you to think, is this same change that I'm about to make, or this same hole, the way I'm about to patch this hole, would this work if my business was 10x or 100x the size? And if the answer is no, then you're patching a hole short term and you're not creating a long-term problem. And I'll give you an example. We just started switching from a project management tools. So we were using something called Asana before, and now we're switching to something called ClickUp for scalability reasons. And Angela, she was the one who was kind of making this decision and studying the platforms. And I was like, is switching platforms, is this going to be a short-term solution because of everything we're going through right now? Or do you think this is going to help us at scale? And the answer was, this is going to help us at scale, because there's a dashboard view where once we have 1,000 clients and multiple senior account managers and multiple directors, we can have views that are very close and zoomed in. We can have views where it only shows the dashboard view. We can just see the higher up numbers, etc. So these are the things that we should think about. Is firing this person or hiring that person or telling this person to handle more work, is that a short-term solution or is it a long-term solution? And if it's only a short-term solution, I would challenge you to try to sacrifice the short-term. Maybe you'll make less money right now because you're sacrificing the short-term. Find a long-term solution for every single problem that you encounter, so that 6 months from now, you continue to keep building a more and more sustainable business, because it matters a lot more than you think. Because what you don't want to do is start scaling your business, and maybe you hit this window, this where all of your dreams come true. The ads start working really great. You're making lots of sales. You get more referrals than ever, but your business is built off just of a bunch of hole patches. Every time a problem happens, think of the long-term solution. And when you do that, you're going to hit your opportunity window, or your 5 minutes of fame, or whatever you want to call it, or your 15 minutes of fame. When everything starts to go right, you're going to have all of the systems in place to be able to handle that scale, and you'll watch your business 10x in front of your eyes. So the reason why I make these videos is because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, a lot of beginning entrepreneurs, and some people just don't know where to start or what to do. And I want everybody to have the opportunity to be able to make more money after they watch these videos. So hopefully this was helpful. If you look in the description below, you'll see a book a call link. You also see a school community link. You can use both of those however you would like. We'll catch you in the next one.